So the big question is this: how are those in the self-storage industry like us going to be successful in today's market? That's the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is Jim Ross, and welcome to the Self-Storage Show.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Jim Ross from the Self-Storage Show. Today's segment, we're going to go do another vendor spotlight. I'm excited for this one. I got the founder of AI Lien, got Frederick Villander with me today. How's it going?
Going great. Thank you. How about yourself, Jim?
Going good. These are fun. Having the opportunity of doing these kind of vendor spotlights, we get to kind of dive in and get more information on you guys. And you're kind of a newer player in the industry. So I wanted to make sure we had a chance to talk and get the word out.
I appreciate it. We're really excited to be here and to tell you everybody a little bit about AI Lien and what we do. And it's fun. We're new in the market and think we have a fun and exciting product that actually solves some pain points. At least that's what self-storage owners are telling us. So
awesome. Well, that's just be perfect fit. So let's just jump right into it here. So go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Frederick Villander from AI Lien. So we started the company about a year ago. And we are a lien to auction platform. I'll give you a little bit of background about our story. It was co-founded by myself and Alistair and 4 other co-founders who are strategic advisors, and started another company called AR24 in France that was recently sold to the French post office. And we have Victor that is our sales and excellence person. And how we all started was really that Guillaume and Clément from France had this company called AR24 that did electronic certified mail. And that's what they revolutionized that market in France. For anything that needed to be certified, it could be done electronically with full ID validation. And we were looking in the US to see what's a fit. And at the end of the day, there wasn't a fit for average things because FedEx and UPS is so standard here for that perspective. Yeah. But talking to self-storage owners, they're like, this is interesting. We do have a problem with dealing with liens, and certified mail is kind of a pain. So an electronic certified mail could be very interesting, but we really are more interested in maybe having something that has a full solution to automate this whole process. And we knew that with ECM, it had been bomb-proof by having big clients like Pitney Bowes, DocuSign, and Gazprom, who were using it as for liens, just like a self-storage company did. Huh. So we talked with a whole bunch of, probably close to 100 self-storage owners and managers. And what we learned is that lien processing time is highly consuming for local managers. If an owner who has 20, 25 locations, his staff spends roughly 2,500 hours a year on just dealing with liens. And for a larger operator that has 180 locations, that's close to 20,000 hours. That's an enormous amount of time. And district managers for a larger facility spends about 2,000 hours a year. That's a huge time suck, if we put it in that perspective.
I've been there, done that. Yeah, I remember we were talking a little bit when you were first getting going, talking about it, and just kind of the pain points of just the time, money, and energy. It's terrible. So yeah, any kind of solution you got, I'm game.
And then for that delivery and payment mechanism, especially in different states, figuring out what is it, and on average, for an operator has 20, 25 locations, it's about 2 to 5 errors a month, roughly, that happens. They're usually caught, but it's something that occurs with the name is missing, or they only send it out to one of the tenants, not both, who are the co-signers. And at the end of the day, like most self-storage owners, they want to improve technology and streamline the processes. They don't want to deal with really highly mechanical tasks, especially if you have a lot of locations. The main pain points that come up over and over, it's a legal minefield. I have multiple states remembering what is allowed where and how, and what is the process that I have to mail it, how many days. Is a lot of the regional managers were saying, this is a major headache, and it's something that is tedious and that they have to be really specific on. Like we just talked about, it's time consuming, and time is money. And at the end of the day, they want to minimize errors and they want to increase the labor efficiencies. I've heard over and over where a lot of managers were saying, My local manager goes out to the post office at 12:30 to go deal with it because that's the best time to go. We have a client who comes over, they go down their lunch break, they need something, nobody's in the office. They get upset and they then leave, and they have an unhappy customers. They'd much rather have the local managers giving better service or upselling, selling some extra features and just get increased revenues.
Doing the job, renting units. We got better things to do with our time. So, yep, I get that.
And as everybody knows, mistakes are costly. It's especially if you're in New York or Los Angeles area, the verdicts can be pretty horrendous. On average, for a facility who spends about 20, 25 locations, they spend about 80 grand a year roughly on labor and mailing costs on that perspective. Some of the trends everybody was talking about is it's a tech-based competition nowadays. There's a new generation of renters. About 20, 25% of the renters are younger. They have smaller places. They want ease of use. They don't want to have a certified mail. They want to have something which they can deal with, preferably an SMS with a payment link that they can just pay what they owe. They just want to know faster and quicker. Yep. And if you try to mail it to them, a lot of them don't open it for 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Exactly.
So what did we come up with from an AL Lien? So once we listened to everybody what the needs was, we came up with an automated state lien process that starts from the beginning, where we pull all the information from a front end, like such as SiteLink, for example, pull everybody who is overdue, and that's dependent from state to state. Some states it's 10 days, some is 14 days, some is 30. Sure. And we'll pull the data from each state based on what the state laws are. We have a database with every single state law in the country for every activity that in there. If it's a car, if they're military, and how are you supposed to serve it? In Massachusetts, I can just send an email out. I don't even need to have a read receipt. If it goes in the junk folder, well, bummer. If you're in California, I need, having basically a biometric authentication in order to prove that who opened it. Yep. So, there's broad bases and differences. And of course, we use, like, people don't open the email, they don't open anything electronically. We go the good old standard way of a certificate of mailing or certificate mail, just the standard people operate today. Yep. And we came up with a dashboard to make it easy for tracking and reporting. And more importantly, it's a full repository of all the documentation. Anybody goes back for a year or two back, somebody comes back and say you didn't do the lien properly. Here's the paperwork. It's easy to find. Search by their name. Here it is. It comes up. And we push a PDF into the front end as well, so that there's in the notes for that tenant, there is a full PDF with every documentation that they need proving it's a legal lien.
Oh, okay. That will come in handy because, yeah, I've been on the end of that. People come in going, we didn't send me that. So, yeah, if you had to add the fingertips to be able to pull that up, that would be very handy.
So really, what are the benefits? It reduces the burden that your employees and your organization deal with. It makes it easier from a complexity to really configure the workflows. And one of the things we really worked on, which we'll show you in the demo, is making it easy to work with your workflow. Not what we think is best, but how do you as a self-storage owner or operator really functions on that perspective. And everybody does it differently. And we just want to make sure that it can easily be customizable how you do it, not what we think is right. And at the end of the day, adding a technology advantage for your customers, making it easy for them to pay you, make it easy to get information. We send out a text message every time a lien goes out. It's not legally binding, but it is something that a lot of millennials are going to say, oh, I got a text, let me look. An email, they might not. And even if it's not legally binding, but if it improves your payments by 20%, great, they paid, it's done. It's just not something we're going to look as proof when, if it goes in to auction at that point.
Gotcha.
Key advantages, cost savings. It really frees up your staff more than anything else to do other tasks. It automatically manages all the updates and timelines. Revenue optimizations, it's going to be increase the resources so that you can get new rentals, increase it. If you get one more rental per quarter, it adds up quickly per location if you look at it that way.
Yep.
And ultimately with people, and we all know tenants, there's bad apples, but then there's people who forget. And anybody who it gets reminded more often, gets handheld a little bit, it usually really reduces delinquency rates at the end of the day. I was just talking with an owner a couple days ago, and they said, you know, by us reminding people every 10 days, it's owed, it's going to come in, the delinquency went down by half.
Wow.
Just doing simple tasks like that because it was front of mind.
Yep.
So it's interesting from that perspective of how those, and they used to, for that one facility, one of them were, I think, mailing it 8 to 10 letters before, and that's down to 2 to 3. And that's a pretty big difference. Just time consuming, but it's sometimes easier to have a happier client than having them go through the auction and throwing them out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't want to go through auctions. That's the last step. But yeah, you got to put all these kind of systems and communications in place so you can avoid that. So that's great.
And then at the end of the day is remove the human error. Basically, if it's automated, the machines, if it date says this, it's going to do it, and we don't have to think about human error on that point. That's kind of where we are. So I'm going to give you guys a demo. So I'm going to switch my screen share so we can go to the other screen where I can have a demo opened up. There we go.
Got it. Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. So if we look at what Lien, this is our dashboard. So once you've logged in, this is set up for one location. Of course, we can have it set up for multiple. We really have 3 levels of users. We have the first one, which is the local manager. And that person can only look at things. They really can't do much more than upload a photo for an auction.
Okay.
The next level would be a regional manager. And the regional manager has the ability to look at multiple locations and correct things if something is wrong, if something is missing. And ultimately, then you have the COO or the owner who has a different dashboard that we usually customize so that they have the information they want. I mean, talking to one which has about, I think, 300 locations, they wanted a summary on top, which said, how many liens do we have? What's the status of each one of them? And then on the other side, above, on top of this dashboard was, give me by region, what is it? And then have the full dashboard at the bottom. So that's customizable, but the only difference between this screen and a regional manager is you have one more column on the left, which basically says the location where the liens are from.
Gotcha. Okay.
The magic which happened is really in the workflow. So the workflow, as it's set up, so this is one that is set up for California, for example, where we have the lien notice sent at day 14. I can go in here as we set it up with the clients, but the client can then go in and say, I want to give a person the benefit of a doubt. I'm going to give them an extra 3 days. So we're going to send out the lien notice at 17 days versus 14. And the system will allow that as we validate it. Now you can see at day 17, the lien notice is going to go out. If I go in at 7 days and I validate it, it's still going to put it at 14 because that's the minimum allowed by California. And that's just, it's not going to let you put in something incorrect.
Oh, good. So there's a little fail safe that way. That's perfect.
Exactly. So as we go through it, we can send in on day 14, an SMS goes out at the same time. 2 days later, we send out a letter from the USPS if nobody opened the email for the first one, which was sent out, or the SMS. If nobody does anything, we've had clients who said, I want to send all 3 at the same time. Sure, we can go in and say and change it right here and say, I want to send it at the same time as the other one. And now you have all 3, which is going to go out at the same time.
Gotcha.
So it's highly flexible this way that 14 days later, now the lien to sale letter goes out. And we're going to go out that either by email, by electronic certified mail, are the 2 main ones, and then SMS and followed by the USPS. We just had a question yesterday, for example, of somebody who says, could I do a reminder? automated, that after 10 days, they're 10 days late. Don't want to send a lien yet, but I just wanted to send them an email and a text saying, by the way, you're 10 days late.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an extra step we could add. And if I want to go in here, we don't have that letter in there, but I could say, you know, call it instead warning debt letter 1. And that goes out, I'm going to send by email, for example. And I'm going to send that out as, I'm going to put it in as, I don't have that proper letter in here, but so in here, I can now go in and move it up on top. So here, if I go in instead, it would be that I put it at day 0, but so that is after 10. If we pull the data from SiteLink, for example, or Storable, or who we pull it from, and we say set the timing, for example, say we're going to pull it at 10 days late. So we know when we pull it at that point. And we know that at day 10, fine, this letter is going to go out then to be put in as an email. And I call it lien to notice, but you would have an option in here basically saying a warning letter.
Sure.
So that would go out automatically to anybody who is over 10 days. And then at day 14, the lien notice would go out, the SMS, and then the post office at the same time in this case. And then the lien to sale letter would go out afterwards. You could put in a warning letter in between if you want, warning SMS. Any of those things can be easily customizable in any order you want. I can add the extra step, which we talked about, advertising. We don't only just do the lien, we also do the advertising and incorporate that with how people do it. So after the 30th day, I can go in here and set up part of a system, a newspaper publication. I'm going to put in the ad template we've set up with the client. And that's going to go at 14 days after the last lien letter was sent out.
Yeah.
I validate that now in, and now at day 54, an advertising letter goes out for first one. Set up the next one for 7 days later, and now your whole lien process is done.
No, that's pretty slick.
So I think that's really where the magic comes, is setting up this whole lien process that we work hand in hand with the operator. We set it up based exactly on how they want it, so they don't really have to do anything. We set it up for them based on just talking with them on how they do things. And then we'll customize it and say, okay, is this what you want? And they'll go, yeah, or change it around or move it, and we'll do it right then live with them. And then they're ready to go.
But it sounds like you also are making sure they're following their state statute lien laws based off what you're talking about before. So you're being that guide at the same time, doing what they want to do, kind of customizing it, but making sure they're doing it right for their state lien laws. So that's usually where I see everyone kind of slipping up. They kind of think they're smarter than they really are sometimes, and they don't do it the right way. So it's nice having that guide.
And many times for the first time when we meet with them before, as we set it up, we'll look at their rental contract too, just to make sure there's nothing that needs to be changed in it.
Oh, good.
Like if it doesn't say, in there specifically that we can send you emails or send you SMSs, that has to be in there or it's not binding. So I think those are some of the pieces we say, you need to update the contract to include these things. Otherwise, we can't put it in. We'll just go in straight to sending it out by mail.
Gotcha.
Templates is pretty simple. So I'm going to discard the changes. We have the templates set up as people sometimes have them set up already in Storable, and you copy what they have and put it in. And we pull in all the information that is required by law. How is it supposed, what information is supposed to be in it? And when is it going to be sold? It's going to be sold by this time on this date.
Yep.
And we have to make sure it matches with the advertising. So since we have that data already from this letter, it's really easy to make the advertising because we pull that date that is part of the lien to sale letter and push it into the advertising so we know exactly when and where is it going to be sold.
Sure.
Once this is all done, then there's nothing really else to do. Is every day, a couple times a day, we pull the information from Storable, SiteLink, the front end, it updates our dashboard. And if I click details on the first person, I have a name of a renter, what location are they at, and where are we in this process.
Oh.
That I know an email was sent, an e-Siemens was sent, they paid, it's over. Next step, it would be the USPS. If I click on the USPS, a window pops up with the document that was sent as well as the proof of mailing. So if it's certificate of mailing or certified mail, you would actually have the scanned piece of paper that we get a number from the post office.
Gotcha.
At the end here, after the second ad, can you see my mouse or no?
Yep, I can see it, yep.
Is at the end of a second ad, there is a PDF that is formed that can be remaining as just part of a file, emailed to somebody, or pushed into the front end, which has every document that was sent, every email, timestamped, and as well as all the proof you need for a lien. So that's kind of your full repository of everything you need to say, this is a solid lien. A window pops up which says, it's done. This is everything we've done. Do you want to go to auction? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And if somebody has their own auctioneer who comes, that's why it ends right there. You just know it's ready to go to auction. If people want to do an online auction, then we can integrate with multiple auction companies where we will pop up windows. So take a picture of the location of a storage unit. And then we have all the data already in there with the name of a person, the date when it's going to be auctioned and everything else. And we just push it straight in as that owner's login in their account into that storage auction. If it's storage treasure, for example, or I bid for storage or what it is, we will push it straight forward.
Oh, that's great. So you can do it all from the same dashboard. Okay, yep. That's great.
Yep, exactly. And so I think this is kind of what we do. We try to keep it really simple, really lean, and try to make it as, you know, simple as possible to do and as hands-off as possible for everybody on that side. On the dashboard, we can also, which some people have requested, instead of having this long list, they want tabs up here where you would have ongoing liens, a problem that occurs, and then history.
Gotcha.
Where you would have the history of the liens, which is there just to go back. Here, how we've done it in progress is any liens ongoing, and for whatever this client had wanted to put late for anything historical. It was just done, it's the past. It was a late notice at the time. Anybody who pays, we pull it, and then the lien stops right then and there in its track because it was paid.
Sure.
If they pay during an auction, we can still go in and pull and stop the auction in case that happens as well.
Okay. No, it's great having a dashboard like that, just having that kind of a focus when it comes to everyone on their collections and liens, because it's one of those necessary evils we hate talking about in the storage business, but it comes with the territory in storage. And it's vitally important that you do it right and having that kind of system in place. And that's kind of one thing that does lack, is having the right systems and efficiencies. So that's why I definitely wanted to have you on to talk about this and actually see it in action.
And I think the other part, which is also important, I think it's for all the tenants. It's, you know, all of us want to have, I mean, if I was a self-storage owner, I would want to have happier clients. I don't want somebody to be mad because something wasn't done properly. It's especially in today's world of social media, it's people want, I would want it to go as easy as smoothly as possible. And that's what a lot of the self-storage owners were telling me is like, listen, I just want it simple, easy, communicate with my tenants, and worst case scenario, then we're going to, you know, find a lien to sale and auction it off.
Yeah. And as far as, and I'm sure you're always adding more software that's compatible with to be able to communicate, you know, back and forth. So that's always an ongoing thing. So that's great. Really for people that want to get more information, you know, and maybe get a demo and kind of get more of their questions answered, well, what's the best way to reach out?
The best way to reach out is Frederick@ailien.com or Victor@ailien.com. I will actually, thinking about it, since I didn't have it on my PowerPoint, I will bring it up and type it in.
Oh, there you go. And we'll make sure it's all in the show notes as well. Make it really easy for everyone to reach out. And what's the website?
The website is www.ai-lean.com. And it's Lean.com.
Perfect. I was going to give it, make sure you spell it right. So yeah, Lean.com for that. So
exactly.
You want to type in your email, you said?
Yep, I was going to see how I get back to...
Okay, yeah, so perfect. So yeah, as far as people getting in touch with you and getting more information, you got it here on the screen, but I'll let you say it once again so everyone that's listening, they know where to go to.
Yep, you can visit us on our website at www.ai-lean, which is Lean.com, or preferably email either me, Frederick, or Victor at ailean.com, and we can set up a demo for you and just give you an answer any questions or give you more specific details.
Yeah, perfect. Well, great. Again, thanks so much for taking the time, being on the Vendor Spotlight, man, and we'll do it again. Take care.
Thank you so much for having me.
See ya.
Have a good day.
You too. Hi, everyone. This is Jim again. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to visit 3milestorage.com for more free resources on how to grow your self-storage business. See you on the next episode.